Tonight, the federal government has announced a 20-day closure of schools, and transition process looks to me has been set in place, but the Naira policy matter is still in the front burner. It's not left the scene. We will be asking critical questions from INEC tonight. Is the commission absolutely ready for this election? It's time to get cracking, everyone. If you are ready, I am ready, because the 2023 verdict begins right now. The top story this hour: is INEC really ready for these polls, considering the current economic realities and the controversies in and out of court? We'll be speaking with INEC top officials about their readiness. And the federal government has set up a transition council to midwife the Buhari administration on the next presidency. We'll look at what this means for the nation. Schools are now set to be closed for 20 days. The National University Commission has made that order to all universities across the country from the 22nd of February up until the March the 14th. Is that hour when we say welcome to the program. This is the 2023 verdict, live on Channels Television. I'm sure Kimbalo in Abuja. Our eyes are not away from the countdown to the 25th of February 2023. 15 days it is today to the elections the Nigerians are anticipating. The opportunity to elect their leaders in the February poll. Well, it's just few days away. Are you ready, Nigerians? You're counting down with me. Look at it. The next election, the presidential and the National Assembly election for the 25th February 2023. 15 days, 12 hours, 57 minutes, 13 seconds. And it's counting down. So get ready, everyone. If you have your PVC, get the opportunity to use it on the 25th of February. Right here on Channels Television, we keep in tabs and we're bringing you everything that you need to know as far as that election is concerned.
The All Progressives Congress in Plateau State has flagged off its governorship campaign with optimism of victory in the forthcoming elections from the state to the federal level. Governor Simon Lalong, who was at Wase Southern Senatorial District, says the APC-led administration has performed excellently in the state and at the federal level. He urged supporters of the party to vote massively for all candidates of the APC. Former National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Adams Oshomole, is insisting that the Naira redesign is to destabilize the ruling party ahead of the elections, and it is payback from the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, to the APC for stopping his presidential ambition. The Edo North APC senatorial candidate was speaking at his campaign rally in Auchi, Etako West local government area of Edo State, where he urged supporters to use their PVCs to show their frustration rather than resorting to protests.
Now he lost the opportunity to contest. He now wants to destabilize the country using change of color as the tool to provoke public unrest.
The People's Democratic Party has accused the ruling All Progressives Congress of fighting for the retention of the old Naira notes for the purpose of using it to buy votes in the forthcoming general election. Spokesperson of the party's Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. Charles Anyagu, stated this at a news conference in Asaba, Delta State, insisting that the ruling party is hiding under the guise of fighting for the suffering masses to perfect its illicit plans of spending its stashed old notes on vote buying.
We support every effort to trap all illicit funds and not make them available for this election.
And the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate in Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Obong Akanodofia, has flagged off his campaign in Uyo, assuring his supporters that he will grant full autonomy to the local government in the state if elected. Mr. Odofia says his administration will prioritize economy, security and infrastructure development.
I am going to grant each and every one of us local government autonomy.
The governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Abia State, Mr. Alex Oti, says he is not contesting for the governorship of Abia State for personal gains, but rather he is desperate to rescue Abia citizens from what he terms shackles of bad leadership and underdevelopment in the state. Dr. Oti disclosed this during a town hall meeting in Abia State, where he promised to resuscitate the Nsulu Games Village and establish a film village in Isialangwa North local government area. Oti says he is desperate to rescue Abia citizens. The People's Democratic Party in Ebonyi State is seeking the intervention of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, as campaigns get into full swing. Addressing journalists at its campaign secretariat in Abakaliki, the state capital, the Director General of the PDP Campaign Council says the party believes that with the intervention of President Muhammadu Buhari, the 2023 elections in Ebonyi State will be better. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Ekiti State says it has achieved 80% collection of permanent voter cards. The umpire, which convened a political stakeholders forum to sign a peace accord ahead of the coming polls, assured that the commission is adequately prepared to face the task of undertaking a successful national and state assembly elections in the state.
Thank you so much. There you have it. You've been brought up to speed with your news, election news update. Don't forget that this program is very much interactive and we want to get your views and know what you're talking about and your perspectives to some of the issues we're discussing tonight. So continue to tutor us on the handles that you see on your screen using the hashtag 2023verdict, or send an email to us if you want some words that you specifically want to pass on. 23verdict@channelstv.com. Tonight, of course, we're having a lot of issues we'll be discussing. So continue to keep those views coming. Things are not getting slower. In fact, they're getting faster by the day. What is happening in the campaign trail of the political parties? Let's get you to feel the pulse of the race, in the state of the race. President Muhammadu Buhari has again promised to support the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, to emerge victorious and succeed him to continue to deliver dividend of democracy to teeming Nigerian populace. The president was part of top APC members that attended the APC presidential campaign rally in Sokoto State, where some members of the opposition party dumped the party for the APC and were received into the folds of the APC. And the campaign train of the presidential candidate of the PDP, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, today stopped over in the Asian city of Kano in continuation of his presidential campaign. Mr. Abubakar, who arrived at the Sani Abacha Stadium, Kano, with his campaign team amidst cheers by a crowd of supporters, promised to implement every item on his recovery agenda if voted as president. And the Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, today continued his presidential campaign in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, where he urged FCT residents to vote en masse for the Labour Party. Mr. Obi was accompanied by his wife, his running mate, and other chieftains of the Labour Party. Thank you so much. That seems to have set the ball rolling for our first conversation. You remember that about 2 days ago, INEC has been saying it is fully ready for this election. A lot of people have doubted how things will pan out, considering the CBN Naira policy controversies that we've seen over the last few days. Those who think that the fear queues will be impacting on the election preparations and all of that. But INEC says, logistic-wise, they are ready. There are all of those who are not also happy with the PVC collection, and they are still thinking maybe they could still have a chance despite the closure or the end to the deadline for the collection of permanent voter cards. I know you have a lot of questions on your mind, and as we're counting down to the election, you perhaps were thinking, do I have my PVC? If I have my PVC, what other information do I need to know? So send your views coming up, because we'll be speaking with Mr. Festus Okoye, the National Commissioner for INEC on voter education and publicity. I understand that there's been a lot of meetings at the commission today. So he will be speaking with us from his office here in Abuja. Thank you so much, Mr. Okoye, and it's good to see you. Been trying to track you from the southeast where you went for some of the exercises, and now that you are back. A lot of questions tonight that we need to ask, and let's get started. First and foremost, a lot of people would like to know, Mr. Okoye, if there is anyone who has not been able to collect their permanent voter cards, perhaps not of fault of their own, because a lot of people had tried to get their PVC collected, but they are not able. They got there and they say their PVCs were not ready, they couldn't find them, it has not been printed. Series of stories that people have told us right here on Channels Television. Is there any way or any help that you can give in the world for these kind of people?
Unfortunately, this commission can no longer extend the period for the collection of PVCs. This is because we have just 15 days to go to the 2023 general election. And our staff who are at the various local governments who have been the issuance officers of these PVCs have to move back to what we call regular programming. They have to begin to receive the non-sensitive materials and batch these non-sensitive materials in accordance with the registration areas or electoral walls and getting them ready for the D-Day. They have to also begin to make arrangements for the collection of the sensitive materials required for the conduct of this particular election. They have to also make arrangements for the places where we are going to house the ad hoc staff overnight before they are deployed at the first light to the various polling units. They have to also inspect the various polling units to make sure that the polling units are fit for purpose and ready for the 2023 general election. So we have so much to do, and we need to get our staff ready for this exercise. As you are aware, we have already tested the beavers in all the states of the Federation to make sure that we don't have some that are not working. The beavers house has to be configured to each polling unit, and it is our staff that have to do this. So the issuance of PVC is not the only work we do. Yes, there's a possibility that there are a few Nigerians who, due to no fault of theirs, may not be in a position to collect their PVCs. And I want to say it's unfortunate, and it's not the intention of the Commission to disenfranchise the Nigerian. But we have to get a tabulation. We have to get a summary of the PVCs that have been collected in each polling unit, in each electoral ward, in each local government, and in each state, and then have the figure nationally to enable us make this figure available to Nigerians. We want to be very transparent in this election. We want Nigerians to know the number of PVCs collected. We want Nigerians to know the number of uncollected PVCs that we are going to deposit with the central bank pending the conclusion of the election. So there are so much we need to do, and we really need to get cracking. We don't have so much time in our hands. We are in a more comfortable position now than we were in 2019. But we don't want to be complacent, and we don't want to take anything for granted. That is why we have to get all our staff back to speed and back to their regular programming, so that they can continue with the work of the Commission.
So in summary, Mr. Okoye, there is no hope. Election. No, anyone who has not been able to collect the PVC, it's gone.
Unfortunately, we are not going to extend the period for the collection of PVC anymore. The periods we have extended is sufficient, and we need to get right into the election and begin to do some other things. If we do not move our staff away from issuance of PVCs, other sectors that we need to take care of.
Do you have a summary of the collection rate and the collection details across the country?
As of today, we don't have the collection rate and the collection details. We have informed all our electoral officers in all the local government areas of the Federation and all the resident electoral commissioners to compile the summary of a PVC collection based on each polling unit, based on each electoral ward or registration area, based on each local government, and also based on state specifics, and forward immediately to the Independent National Electoral Commission at the national headquarters to enable us publish this summary so that Nigerians will know the number of PVCs collected.
So because
and
of the allegations of politicians and their supporters will always raise issues as to the uncollected PVCs, where are those going to be deposited since nobody is collecting them now? Are they going to still be housed at the INEC offices, at the LG or the state level? Or where are they going to be for the election? For those who are doubting or who have in their minds that there are possibility of these PVCs being used for untoward activities or for rigging the elections.
Well, if you recall, we had a consultative meeting with all the registered political parties in Nigeria. We also met with all civil society groups and organizations. We met with the media, and we also met with all the security agencies. And for all the sensitive electoral materials that the Commission will deploy for the 2023 general election, we agreed on a hybrid approach. We agreed that the BVAS will remain in the custody of the Independent National Electoral Commission, while the result sheets and ballot papers will remain with the central bank. And so at the conclusion of this particular exercise, we are going to deposit the uncollected PVCs with the Central Bank of Nigeria, pending the conclusion of the election. After the conclusion of the election, the PVCs will also come out once again, and the owners of these PVCs will come forward.
Okay, then. So let's
PVCs.
move into the issue of the BVAS. The mock accreditation exercise that took place a few days ago. For those who are wondering, perhaps I should ask INEC tonight, how has INEC been able to assess that exercise? Fair, good outing, what are the lessons?
Well, the first thing we did as an electoral management body is to test all the BVAS that we designed, to test all the BVAS that were supplied to us to be sure that they are in good working condition and that they are fit for purpose. We tested the BVAS that were supplied, and we discovered 0.5% just had issues, and all those ones have already been replaced. The second thing we did was to fix mock accreditation in all the states of the Federation, and we carried this mock accreditation in 436 polling units in 12 in all the states of the Federation. Why did we do the mock accreditation? The Commission carried out both hardware and software upgrade to the BVAS, and so we wanted to be sure that this hardware and software upgrade that we carried out was properly captured and was properly configured, and that is the BVAS is fit for purpose. I want to report that in all states of the Federation, those who turned up to carry out this mock accreditation, the observers that observed this mock accreditation, both domestic observers and international observers, we are all happy with the performance of the BVAS, with the speed of the BVAS, and also with the upgrade of the BVAS. And we are confident that the BVAS we have now has speed, that the BVAS we have now is fit for purpose, and that the BVAS we have now has the capacity and the ability to capture the fingerprint of all registered voters, and if it's unable to capture their fingerprints, to capture their facials. So if we are unable to capture your fingerprint during the election, if we are unable to capture your facial, what that means is that you are engaged in identity theft and will not allow you to vote. All Nigerians who participated in the mock exercise are happy with the performance of the BVAS, and they have commended the Independent National Electoral Commission for the advances we have made in infusing and imputing technology into the electoral
testing
process.
the device, you're telling us that it is better than what we saw in Ekiti and Osun. But in terms of the turnout of voters. It does look like it wasn't a very encouraging outing. Could there be a reason that I don't think this has happened, or how do you explain what happened on Saturday?
Well, the number of voters that turned up for the mock accreditation has really nothing to do with what the commission went out to achieve. If you look at the configuration of what we did, we deployed the beavers to polling units that are in urban centers. We also deployed the beavers to polling units that are in semi-urban centers. We also deployed the beavers to polling units that are in the rural areas. We want to test, one, that the beavers is fit for purpose. Secondly, we wanted to test the speed of the beavers. We also wanted to be sure that the beavers has the capacity to capture the contours of the face or the configuration of the face. And in all the places where we tested the beavers is fit for purpose, and we are really, really happy with the performance of the beavers. Not only that, we have also worked with the major networks in terms of result upload. We also wanted to test result upload in all these places I have mentioned. And I want to say that the upload was very, 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 very good. And we are now more confident with the beavers than we were before. So I think that we achieved what we wanted to achieve. The number of Nigerians that turned up it really does not matter. But in almost all the places, there was no place where we didn't have more than 20 registered voters turning up to come and carry out the accreditation process or the mock accreditation. And we are happy with the results we have so far.
Maybe for our viewers who are watching now, is there anything they need to do as far as their fingers are concerned? You remember in 2019, there were those school of thought, those who believe that you have to clean your fingers with your index fingers with spirit, methylated spirit, so that it can be read. You have to dab your face, you have to do this and do that. In preparation for that, is there anything that our viewers need to know as they prepare? I've seen online that people are already saying this is my election day kit. As part of the preparation of our viewers for the voting day, what do they need to do? Do they need to do pedicure or anything to just get them ready so that these devices are not rejecting their fingerprints?
Sherry, you are the one making these comments. They are not coming from me. So I'm going to report to you based on the comments you have made. Now, we are still going to provide methylated spirit for people to dab their fingers with it in case it's unable to capture their fingerprints. But we have improved on the technology of the beavers. In almost all the places where I observed and where national commissioners observed, the voters did not need to use the methylated spirit because the beavers is able to read their fingerprints. And the beavers is also able to read the facials of men and women that have carried out heavy makeup because he's able to read the contours of their face. And I found out that it is not only ladies that do heavy makeup, that some men also do heavy makeup based on what you have pointed out. So the beavers is able to read all the facial makeup of every individual. So we are slightly more comfortable with the performance of the beavers than we were before. We learn with every election. We are not dogmatic about anything. We are not puritanical about everything. If there are lessons to be learned in any election, we learn those useful lessons and we apply those lessons. We have used the beavers in almost over 105 off-cycle elections. And we have learned valuable lessons from these off-cycle elections, and we have inputted all those lessons into into the improvements we have made to the beavers. And so we are very happy with the performance of the beavers, and we are also confident that come February 25th and March.
So the advice is that do not wear heavy makeup, so that you're on the safer side, right? Is that a good information for our viewers?
Well, if you ask me to advise, I would advise that people should wear moderate makeup during the election. I will not advise people not to wear makeup. Don't lead me into a territory that I'm not conversant with. Just lead me to be on the lane.
It's good, the advisory that we're giving. I mean, my thinking and my aim is that a lot of our viewers, especially those who are voting for the first time, there seems to be the anticipation and the anxiety is there. So it's good to prepare their minds towards this. So let's look into the beavers and the safety of it. INEC chairman had said as much that there were being previous attacks in Ekiti and Osun, remote attacks on the server and the back end of INEC systems, and that INEC stood its ground and its ICT team to fight, to ward off these. What can you tell Nigerians tonight about the safety of the back end, the IRF portal, to all of these hackers? I saw on one of the occasions, in one of the election cycle, I think it was in 2011 or 2015, when on election day, there was a momentary takeover by a hacker of INEC website. And so these fears have always been there. What guarantees do we have this time around?
I think it is important to say from the outset that the beavers works offline for purposes of voter verification and accreditation. So when a voter gets to the polling unit, what the voter needs to do is to be armed with his or her permanent voter's card. The presiding officer will harvest the last 6 digits of the voter's voter identification number or the VIN number and use it to call up the voters' data from the beavers. And the beavers will now read the voters' fingerprints or read the voters' facials. And if any of them passes, the voter will be given a ballot paper to go and cast his or her vote. Now, at the conclusion of election, when elections are over, when results are sorted, when the votes of the political parties are sorted out, I entered into from EC8A, which is the polling unit level result. The presiding officer will sign that particular from EC8A and also stamp it. The political party polling agents, if available, will also sign or countersign the result sheet. And then copies will be made available to the political party agents or the polling agents if they are there, and also made available to the various security agencies if they are there. It is at that moment, at the point of result upload, that you need network. Now, what is going to happen is that we have entered into a partnership, into an agreement with the major network providers for purposes of providing network coverage in all these places. Part of the testing we did with the mock accreditation was to test the strength of the major networks in both the urban areas, in semi-urban areas, and also in the rural areas. And we are satisfied with the work we have done. We are also going to embed the representatives of these major networks in our situation room, so that if there's any minor challenge in any place, they can also intervene and intervene decisively. Now, it is important for Nigerians to know that what the Commission will transmit on election day are scanned images from EC8A, which is the polling unit level result. Nigerians are not, the Commission will not transmit raw figures on election day. The scanned images from EC8A. We are also going to transmit the accreditation data from the polling unit. So there is a possibility that before the presiding officer even gets to the first level of collation, and at the collation centers we have 8,809 registration areas or electoral wards. It is possible that before the presiding officer gets there, the collation officer already has advantage of the already transmitted polling unit level result and also the already transmitted accreditation data. But the beavers itself will be carried together with the result sheet to the accreditation, to the collation center. So the collection officer will have the manually transferred result and also the electronically transferred result from the polling unit, and also the electronically transferred accreditation data. By our own processes and procedures, if there's a discrepancy, if there's a dispute between the manually transferred result and the electronically transmitted one, the electronically transmitted one takes precedence.
Right. But Mr. Okoye, I mean, the fulcrum of my question is about the attacks that INEC has seen over the time in Ekiti Notion, which INEC chairman has said that it's become a problem. Yes. The question is your back end now foolproof? What guarantees can Nigerians have tonight that no matter what hackers, they will try, but what are the measures you have taken to ensure that it is fully fortified? We're going to a big election.
Well, every platform is susceptible to attack. What is important is the type of defenses that you provide for your networks. As far as the Commission is concerned, our defenses are robust. But you know, no army goes into a war by disclosing its defenses to the enemy. As far as we are concerned, those who attack our platforms are the enemy of our electoral process and the enemies of democracy. And we are not going to display, explain to them, or even disclose to them the type of defenses we have provided or we have in place. What I want to assure Nigerians, and the chairman has assured Nigerians, that our defenses are robust. We have also engaged ethical hackers to attempt to hack into our platforms. And from what we have seen and from what we have tested, our defenses are robust, and we assure Nigerians that we are ready for the conduct of this election.
Okay, then. So let's go into another matter. The logistics of this election is very paramount, and there seems to be some controversies coming from Lagos State. What is the position of INEC as of today? There are some issues with the transportation unions in Lagos, which the activities of some of these unions have been banned by the state government. But the statement attributed to the INEC rec in Lagos has been flagged by some politicians, asking for the job of the INEC rec in that state, in Lagos State. But what is the position of the MC Oluomo, popularly called popularly called MC Oluomo, Mr. Olusanya, who is head of some of the PACS union in Lagos? Is INEC going ahead with his union for the transportation of materials?
Let me just say this, that courage and competence resides in this commission, and that this commission will not succumb to blackmail, and this commission will not succumb to the antics of those who do not wish the electoral process well. For the 2023 general election, this commission is going to hire at least 138,000 vehicles. And we have hired vehicles in the past. This commission is going to hire at least 4,000 boats. We have hired boats in the past. This commission will hire at least 88,000 motorcycles. And we are going to hire over 88,000 motorcycles. Now, the commission enters into individual contract with the vehicle owners. We don't enter into any form of contract with the union. What we have with the National Union of Road Transport Workers and with the National Association of Road Transport Owners and with the marine unions is what we call a memorandum of understanding. It's the memorandum of understanding we have with them. We don't enter into contract with them. So the issue of the name of an individual being mentioned to the effect that the individual is going to provide all the vehicles the commission needs for the purposes of this election is just mischief, and it's just mischievous. We have contract with individual drivers. What the union do for us is that we enter into MOU with them, and sometimes in a situation where an individual driver absconds, they help us locate the driver. In a situation where a driver does not turn up on time, they know their members, they help us find out why the individual has not turned up on time. Now, it is true that In some states, the National Union of Road Transport Workers has been banned, but they do not convey materials for us. It's the individual drivers that convey materials to us. And so in each state, we deal with each state based on its own specificities and based on its own challenges and also based on its own problems. On the issue of Lagos, the supervising National Commissioner for Lagos State has already briefed me that whatever challenges there are has been sorted out. But I want to assure the nation that our contract is with individual drivers. We do not have contract with the National Union of Road Transport Workers. We don't have contract with the National Association of Road Transport Workers, and we don't have contract with the marine unions. Our contract is with individual drivers that own these vehicles and provide these vehicles on election day.
So, I mean, let's get it clear, Mr. Okoye. Is INEC going with the Lagos State Park and Garage Management Committee led by Musiliu Akinsanya, popularly called MC Oluomo? Because you said you have arrangement with the union groups in Lagos. Is that the group that you're going with? Because I'm asking so that there will be clarity on the way and manner INEC is conducting its activities in Lagos State.
The point I'm making is that the National Union of Road Transport Workers do not own vehicles. Our vehicles are from the individual drivers. For each driver we engage, we sign an individual contract at the local government level with that particular individual who provides that particular vehicle. What the union does is that the union knows their members. So if, for instance, an individual driver that we have a contract with absconds on election day, the union can assist the commission find out where that particular individual is. At each local government area, the National Union of Road Transport Workers has their branches. Sometimes we embed them in our seat, their chairman or vice chairman in our situation room, and they also help the commission know what has happened on election day in terms of whether their member has turned up and whether their member has not turned up. But essentially and fundamentally, we deal with individual drivers. In terms of contracting, we don't deal with the union because the unions do not own the vehicles. We deal with the drivers that have the control and custody of these vehicles on election day.
So quickly, I have about just two quick questions before we wrap up. And I'd like to ask frankly, because we are hearing stuff, have politicians been whispering to the ears of INEC of a need to postpone the election?
Postpone. Did you use the word postpone? Did you use the word reschedule?
Yes.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission has been very consistent, has been very, very clear, and has said unequivocally that the period and the dates fixed for the conduct of the 2023 general election are fixed and firm. We have delivered over 80% of the non-sensitive materials required for the conduct of this election. Almost all in fact, over 70% of even the sensitive materials required for the conduct of this election are already with the central bank and have been delivered. On the 11th of February, we are going to begin the training of all the ad hoc staff that will conduct this election. And this training will go on up to the 22nd day of February this year. So in terms of preparations, in terms of getting ready, this commission is over 80% ready. So you cannot prepare so well and then begin to talk about rescheduling and begin to talk about postponement. Nobody is whispering anything to the commission. Anybody who is whispering anything to the commission is engaged in an exercise in futility. The commission is the only organ, the only commission, the only agency that has the power and the virus to organize, undertake, and conduct elections. And we are proceeding with the election.
All right, we are due for due to go on this conversation, Mr. Okoye. I mean, I've been hearing stuff, and there are those of the school of thought that the election might be rescheduled. That if INEC says it is ready, what about the average Nigerians who don't have enough narrow notes or who are still battling with fear situation? These are some of the talks we are amongst politicians. But quickly, we're getting some feedback, and I will take a short message from one of our viewers tonight, and I'd like you to respond to it quickly, Mr. Okoye, please, if you can. There is a mail, an email from Agbuduta Ejuro Ogene, and this is what he sent in as a message. He said, I did a transfer and I'm yet to collect my PVC because mine was not printed as told by the INEC officials. Can I still vote in my previous location with my old PVC? Just a quick response, Mr. Okoye, on that mail from our viewer.
Yes, that particular PVC is still valid. If his or her PVC was not printed and it was not captured by any of our processes, he can still use, I don't know whether it's a male, can still use the PVC that has not been transferred for the purposes of voting in the election.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Festus Okoye, the National Commissioner of INEC in charge of voter education and publicity. Thank you so much indeed for the time that you've given us tonight on the program.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you indeed. We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, the People's Democratic Party are agitating. They are protesting a lot of things as far as the preparations for this election is concerned. One of the spokespersons of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council will be joining me, Daniel Buwala, and as a lawyer also, he'll be talking to me about the grievances of the PDP in this preparation of election. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get back to the conversation. We're not talking about INEC preparation. We're looking at partisan conversation to this election. But before then, there are major events or announcements being made. The federal government has made an announcement. Today, the federal government has set up a transition council, which will be headed by the secretary to the government of the federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa. The purpose of this is to institutionalize a legal framework that will enable a seamless transition from a Buhari government to the next presidency. And there will be an inauguration of that council on the 14th of February, which is Valentine's Day. So some people will be busy other than doing Valentine, inaugurating that. So the NUC is another announcement that came out of the federal government today, saying there will be a closure of all schools for 20 days. And the order is simple: shut down all schools. Academic activities will be suspended for the time being for these days, beginning on the 2nd of February to the 14th of March, after the last election. The last election will be governorship and state assembly elections, which will be on the 11th. So students will be able to come back after the 14th. And the concerns of the federal government is that there are concerns over security, majorly, of staff, the school and the facilities. And the institutions affected are all universities and inter-university centers across the nation, to be shut down from the 22nd to the 14th of March. Don't forget some of the elections that will happen on the February the 25th, presidential election, National Assembly election, and these are the seats up for grabs in the National Assembly. 109 seats in the Senate and 360 seats in the House of Reps. The presidency is just one constituency across the country. Look at it. If you belong in any of these, prepare your mind to know where your demography is so that you can prepare yourself to go and vote on election day. But I'll begin my conversation tonight with my next guest, who is a spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party and a lawyer, Mr. Daniel Buwala. Daniel, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
This is where we begin our conversation. If you look at the figure here, the APC has controls 21 states presently. Your party controls 14 states. I've got 1 state. And I'll ask you, it's been a long, long battle, campaigns, and you've been having back and forth with the APC. How has it been from the start of the campaign up until now? Are things swinging in the way of your party presently, or things look a bit difficult for you?
No, things are actually swinging because, for example, the whole gamut of the campaign is about selling your product, right? And of course, you know that after every season of election is what they call referendum. Like if you serve 1 term and 2nd term, then the people will look at your 8 years and judge it against what you said you were going to do. In other words, you don't have any reason to give excuse. So if you look at what APC promised Nigeria 8 years ago, and you look at where we are today and whether the promises have been fulfilled, that will answer the question that definitely the Nigerian people, who are not stupid anyway, they know how to make decisions. They are not going to vote APC. But we went beyond that to sampling that opinion in our engagement, which was the reason why we were involved in debate, we were involved in campaign and rallies and engagement with people. And I can tell you that APC is a shadow of itself. APC is a damaged goods. It's an expired product. Nobody can look at Nigeria today, look at the security situation in Nigeria, look at whether or not Nigeria is corrupted in terms of public officers corrupting themselves, or look at the economy and will give APC any mark. If I have to borrow the assessment of their candidate, he says it's F8, and we don't know whether there is anything like F8, but you see, it's F9. That's how you will score them. So, and talking about the APC controlling 21 states and PDP 14, and it does not really follow. And all you need to do is just travel back to 2015. PDP was controlling the greater part of the states in the country, and yet Buhari came. Some of the governors that even won election in 2015, were it not for the influence of Buhari, they may not have even won House of Rep, not to talk of Senate. So, and this is the assessment period of APC. And that is why you can never use this number of governors controlling states to arrive at the conclusion whether that gives APC a chance.
So there could be a repeat of 2015, that's what you're saying?
Yes, there's going to be a repeat, and even much more, because in 2015, it was a movement where people looked at PDP and said, look, Nigeria is getting into trouble, and you have not been able to provide a path or solution to it. Now, in 2023, it is much more than that, because in 2015, the problem was just insecurity. Nigeria was the largest economy in Africa, and there were other aspects of the country that people were relatively okay. In this 2023, in terms of insecurity, nowhere is safe, not even the capital city. When you come to the economy, that's another ball game. You heard about ways and means, you heard about 70 trillion. You are here seeing Nigerians all over the place is suffering. And then if you come to, that's the economy, the security, and if you come to anti-corruption, for the first time in the history of the country, birds swallow money, monkeys swallowed money, insects swallowed money. It has never happened. Corruption became institutionalized in such a manner and dimension. Imagine a public officer, 100 and something billion found. And let me say this, EFCC as an institution has tried its best, but EFCC is overwhelmed, in my view, by the kind of attachment that you see from the political party. APC does not stand a chance. I'm just being honest. That is why, if you have seen lately, they have just resorted into this kind of situation where you see somebody who knows he's dying and is so desperate. We call it anthrophobic.
So, Daniel, because I know you are very you're not analytical in your mind. Right. So we saw your the APC here today in Sokoto, correct, which is a very big deal as far as the Northwest is concerned. This region of the country is the big deal, the Northwest region of the country. So APC was in Sokoto today. The PDP was in Kano today. And it means one thing, that you have your eyes fixated on the Northwestern vote. Correct. How much of that can your party muscle right now? If you look at it, most of that place is what you see as blue. And where you have your strength is South-South and the Southeast traditionally, and no one can also take it away from the fact that PDP has held sway over the last few election cycles in the lower part of the Nigerian map. But if you look at it now, 5 of those states are now tilting towards the opposition. They are not on the side of Atiku Abubakar. What is that telling you?
So this is it. Now, most of the states in the Northwest, you say they are blue, which explains why he calls it Bala Blue. But I'm telling you, this is going to be a Northwest different from Bala Blue. And let me explain to you. Now, there is not a single state in the Northwest that is happy with APC. Do you know why? They are traditionally farmers. Go point at any state in the Northwest now and tell me if the people can go to their farms. As a matter of fact, it is not just about farming, which they can no longer go. It has even aggravated to the point where bandits in the Northwest send messages to villages and ask them to send their wives to the bandit. And after 2 weeks, they are going to take them back. Have you not noticed? Even as powerful as President Buhari is, he will appear in states in the Northwest, and the kind of energy and reaction you get is different. Let me predict, and you can call me after election, the entire Northwest we are going to win the entire Northwest. If we lose, it will be one state. And even then, we still have our ways to make it before then. Not a single state in the northern Nigeria, PDP will miss. That's what I want you to know. There is a polling.
Out of the 19 states in the northern Nigeria.
Out of the 19 states in the northern Nigeria. If there is anybody that might create a little bit of problem, it is Labour Party. It is not APC.
So you see, in 2011, this was how the election went. This way. You saw Goodluck Jonathan winning most of the South.
Right.
And his main opposition, winning most of the North.
Right.
And you see, switch it over in 2015.
Right.
You saw most of the North also being won by Muhammadu Buhari. He repeated that also in 2019.
Right.
With the emergence of Peter Obi of the Labour Party, a lot of people had thought that a lot will change in the dynamics of our political map. There are a lot of places or region of the country that things will swing around, and a Kwankwanso effect in Jigawa, in Kano, cannot be taken away. Even if it doesn't win all, perhaps it will have a very strong outing in those states. These are some of the question marks that a lot of the political analysts are thinking that PDP may have a shaky footing in these areas.
But that's what the problem is. People have given a one-side analysis of this. They don't look at the flip side. Look at the flip side. Peter Obi is a Southerner. And if Peter Obi is going to get votes in the southern Nigeria, whose vote is it going to affect? The vote, obviously, of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, look at the movement of the young people. And I can tell you that because I am a Christian. And I know on the basis of the feelings of the Christian people in the entire Southwest, where Tinubu is likely to get votes, the people are not going to, including his kin folks, they are not going to vote for him. They will vote for Peter Obi because of that resentment and sentiment that they feel. Now, you come to the North. When Tinubu started with this ticket, he thought that it will sell in the North. But as time went on, the people were more analytical in their mind, and they discovered that, look, let's go to the bigger picture and forget about state and local government. Are we prepared to have a president that will say something now in the next 3 minutes he can't remember? Somebody will have to fill up the space. Are we going to have a president that will show up in a meeting now and you won't see him after 3 weeks? We've seen the movie before. Are we going to have a president who has not been able to answer the question relating to drug-related cases that people have leveled allegation against him? Above all else, are we prepared at this time for a president that does not have in his heart the capacity to unite Nigeria? What singular thing has Tinubu done that suggests unity? This was somebody who said, I never believe in Nigeria. This was somebody who tried to divide the North and the South on the basis of religion. This is somebody from the South has wanted to divide the South along ethnic lines. Now, he does not have the capacity or the temperament of one who will unite Nigeria. We're even talking about unity. Now, let's talk about economy. This is somebody who he will try to replicate what he did in Lagos, in Abuja. Now, what did he do in Lagos? The Alpha Beta, his company, took over the state revenue collection. If he becomes president, FIRS will be taken over by Alpha Beta. Now, reflect other things. When they say his wife supplied diesel, translate it to the national. When they say his son managed billboard, translate it to the national. It becomes a dynasty rather than a democratic government where everybody will have a feel of Nigeria. So if you look at it from left, right, center, from character and fitness, from intellectualism, from mental stability, from agility, from the sense of unity, he does not stand a chance. But look at this is how the people are interpreting it. If you go to the South, the vice presidential candidate of PDP is from the South. Are they going to leave their brothers? Are they going to leave their brother? If you go to the Southeast, they would rather come with PDP because the vice presidential candidate of PDP is an Igbo person. But in APC, they wanted to deny the Igbos. Do you know what they did? They instigated all the Igbos in the party to run for president. Every state have 2 presidential candidates. In Ebonyi, you have Mazi Onu, and then you have Dave Umahi. You come to Imo, you have Mwajuba, you have Rocha Sokorocha. That's how they instigated all of them and confused them out. They don't have a place there. And the Southeast, if there is any party they can claim ownership, is PDP. Are they going to be senseless or go to a party that does not have a structure? There's no definition of a future? Somebody that after the day of election, he's going to even abandon them? Are you going to leave that? So the South and the Southeast, I can tell you, we might lose 1 or 2 votes to him, but convincingly we're going to get the South and the Southeast.
So you don't see I know that the way you feel or the way both your party and the APC feel about each other,
right.
You try to cancel each other, and I've tried never to get in between, because when politicians are throwing that at each other, you know how to settle your scores. But the question is, those who raise a question mark and say, look, you cannot dispute Bola Tinubu's track record as a 2-term governor in Lagos State and the legacy they say that he has laid in Lagos State. Right. Can you also dismiss Peter Obi and the steam that has come with him, with young Nigerians, and the kind of outings that he has gotten and the kind of support that he has gotten? See him as a third leg in the race. See him as a new force in the race, but he's a force, isn't it?
Peter Obi is a third force, but Peter Obi is not revolutionary. Peter Obi cashed into a movement, an agitation by young people who feel they need a different path. And then what Peter Obi did, he was a member of PDP, was running. If he had gotten a ticket, he wouldn't have gone there. Even after he left, he didn't go to Labour. He was scouting for a political party, right? The reason why I don't bother much about Peter Obi, let me tell you today, by my discipline of law, Peter Obi, as we speak today, is running as an independent candidate. He is not a member of Labour Party.
The Constitution does not recognize independent
so that tells you he's not.
So he has a political party, Labour Party.
So let me tell you what I mean by that. The electoral had made it clear you have a limited time within which you submit the list of registered members. At the time Peter Obi joined them for the presidential race, the list of registered members of Labour had already been submitted to INEC. If you go to INEC now, you summon them, and you ask for the register, you cannot see the name of Peter Obi. And the Electoral Act says it is only a political party that will sponsor a candidate.
But there was that case went to court, and the court, 2 days ago, the court threw that matter out.
On this ground,
on this
whether
matter, yes.
So I haven't heard that. Yeah. I haven't heard that.
But if you find out. Yeah.
I haven't heard that. So if you move away from there to what can he do? Now let's come down. Where will Peter Obi win? He cannot win one state in the north. The entire north.
Are you so sure about that?
Because
what makes you think so?
Because one, we engage in rallies, in campaign, and we listen to people. The same Peter Obi that they are manufacturing all these 419 polls. Have you not seen all his rallies? All the rally Peter Obi has had now, all of them put together, is not up to our rally in Kasina.
Daniel, just a moment. As far as you're concerned...
If you permit me, let me observe that this studio must be awesome, because you give us more time in this studio. It must be awesome.
Thank you so much. I mean, not only you, everyone that has stepped into this place think that is a good place. I mean, you could be here for as many hours.
I see.
It looks more pleasant in when you see it physically than how you see it on the screen.
Right.
I'd like to ask you, your principal is facing huge problems with the G5 governors, the integrity governors led by Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. That could have some kind of negative impact on Atiku's presidential chance. Don't you think so?
First of all, they didn't say their integrity, they said their integrity. There's a difference between integrity and integrity. Integrity is on the basis of what we all know, character, steadfastness, forthrightness, but integrity is interest-based. But I want you to know that this is about 7 months after all of the activities of the G5, so quote unquote the G5. But you can see that even after these 7 getting to 8 months, we are still leading the pack. We are still considered favorites. We are still seen as a party that is to beat. The party that has gotten more confused and disillusioned is the APC, because you have seen how they are fighting each other. You've seen how they are even going to court, suing the federal government. There's nothing that is not going on there because of fear. They are threatening lives, bringing Jagaban soldiers, saying if they don't win, they will go back to June 12th. All these things are fear. It's pantophobic, and now it has become anthrophobic. But the G5 have not affected us. Are we talking with them? We'll continue to talk till the election. Have some of them breached and broken our law? Yes. But you know the supremacy of the party. One of them, of course, the leading and the vocal and vociferous one among them, has given the impression of a macho man. You have covered them. He has done everything in the book. But unknown to us, he ran to court to seek protection. It is like the Constitution of Nigeria. Even the president is not above the Constitution. The president is bound by the Constitution. The party is supreme. Now, we are having breakthrough in the sense that even from Abia, the governor of Abia is receptive. I can guarantee you, Sheun, by the time we come to election, all of the G5 will vote, and they will encourage their people to vote for us. You know why? It is the only party where they will find relevance. Let me ask you, if Wike leaves our party now, assuming, and he goes to APC, where will he find his path? APC, the southern people in the south people in APC have already taken a position. And you can apply that to the rest of the G5. This is a party they have helped in building, the party they have preserved. You see, the anger has been expressed. This is the time to sit down and do business. But I can promise you that PDP is on course to winning. This is the feeling we are getting from all of our engagement. And our own approach to this election is not to disrespect Nigerians like the way APC candidate does. When he went to London and he was asked, what do you have to say about Nigeria? He said, let them rush and make up their mind to vote for me. Even this CBN policy, he said the CBN policy, they are doing it because of me. But in the case of our party, we look at the sufferings of the Nigerian people. We feel for them. We feel for them. We empathize. As I speak to you now, I have not accessed the new money. We're all suffering. But is this suffering going to give a better future? Of course it will. Now, when they say this suffering is the one that is demarcating them.
So, but how do you also defend that your party or your candidate has supported the policy, which you said is making Nigerians suffer?
Let me tell you, and you can refer me to what he said. Our candidate never supported or opposed the policy. He is not in no position to pass his own judgment of the policy, whether it is good or bad. His focus has been 2. 1, there must be free and fair election. Government should know how to conduct free and fair election. 2, in the bid to conduct the free and fair election, let the Nigerian people have access to money. Let them not be placed under undue hardship. But this suffering that these people are facing, it is not this policy.
But you have heard what the APC and the leaders in the APC have said, that this policy is being engineered or is being backed by your candidate allegedly and your party for one purpose, to work against the APC, and that your candidate and your party are working internally with some people in the villa against the chances of Bola Tinubu of the APC.
And they are all over the television houses, and all the anchors have asked them to name. They have not been able to name. Give example, they have not been able to give.
So the reason why I'm asking you is that if your candidate, compared to other candidates who say this suffering cannot go on, and this policy does not look well for Nigerians, but your candidate has not outrightly say bad or good, but it does look like he says tacitly, go ahead with the policy. So does it not relate with whether or not the allegations that the APC is making, and some of the leaders saying that he has a hand in it?
No, let me tell you the simple logic, and it's not just us. If you go to Peter Obi, and in fact 14 political parties have even threatened that if this policy is extended, they are going to boycott the election. Why? The reason why our candidate does not feel anything against the policy is because if the policy will bring free and fair election, why should our candidate kick against free and fair election? That means we have something else in our mind. What will present the same platform for even the Labour and everybody, that's what it's up for. But in addition, the APC are the ones frustrating When you have been reporting, they have been arresting people in conjunction with banks, hoarding the money, assuming these monies were made available to the people through the payment platforms. There would have been no cause for the Nigerians to go through this pain. But in their mind, they felt if we pressurize the people, if we put them under pressure like that, it will compel the president to extend.
Do you feel that this election will be free and fair with all of what INEC has done?
Now, I believe and I have confidence in INEC, but it is not what you say now and leave it, because you have to put an eye on them until the election. That is one. But number two, there are frightening situations that I think that the federal government should be on board and the security agencies to look at. APC and their members have been reeling all kinds of threats. Threats such as if Asuwaju doesn't win, they are going back to June 12th. Threats such as they have Jagaban army. And you see in all parts of the country how they are maiming and dealing with people. Now, that is not good for democracy. And the observers, international observers are on ground. That's number one. Then number two, their bid to even go to court, all in a bid to ensure that they get this policy not to have its course. And let me tell you something about this policy. Nigerians will smile at the end of the day. But we all have to make sure that this election does not permit of the use of money to buy the will and the wishes of the people. They are weaponizing poverty.
As a lawyer, what do you make of the ex-parte order given by the Supreme Court on the CBN Naira swap policy?
First, Supreme Court has not decided on the case, right? Supreme Court has not commented on the substance of the matter. Supreme Court granted an ex-parte order to preserve, pending when they will hear the interlocutory. Now, there are a lot of issues Supreme Court will consider when that day comes. So these people who go to the market to say APC has won, no, there's no preservation. But there are a lot of things that Supreme Court will have to consider on that day, because that's a court of final instance and the court that listens to everything and applies justice. One, whether having regard to Section 232 of the Constitution, where it provides, when you read all of the preambles, it says insofar as it relates to the existence or extent of a legal right. Existence or extent. Now, the Supreme Court will ask themselves whether, having regard to that, this APC and the state that went to the court have a locus. Because the policy of CBN, does it confer obligation on state or obligation on deposit money
I'd like
banks
to ask
and the Nigerian people?
I'd like to ask you, the Supreme Court, based on the provisions of the Constitution, has original jurisdiction in conflict and dispute between the state and the federal government. But in that suit, as filed by the three governors, the CBN is obviously not joined in that suit. Right. In terms of jurisdiction, do you have any cause for worry in the entertainment of that matter by the Supreme Court?
No, you see, I'm a lawyer, and by our discipline, once a matter is sub judice, we do not comment on the strength or weakness. But I can tell you some of the questions that will go around the mind of the judges. So, for example, can order be given against a party to which is not joined to give his side? You know the doctrine of fair hearing. If I'm going to give an order that will affect me, I have to be there. It's elementary. And now,
so you're saying that that order shouldn't have been given ex parte?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that on the D-Day, you see, because the fact that ex parte application was granted does not mean that interlocutory will turn on that part too. Even if you challenge the jurisdiction of the court has to assume jurisdiction to determine whether it has jurisdiction or not.
First, yeah.
So the point I'm saying is that at the Supreme Court as it stands, that they will ask themselves on that day whether CBN, and let me even tell you, the enforcement of the policy involved the SSS, involved the police, involved the ICPC, involved the EFCC.
Yeah.
So are they supposed to be parties?
We are due to go. We're due to go. Finally, let me get your final thought on this election. If it doesn't go the way of your principal, Atiku Abubakar, what do you think are the implications?
So he said it. If it is free and fair and he loses, he will accept it at his fate. But can you look at this election and have a doubt as to the fact that we're winning? You know your strength by the conduct of your opponent. If your opponent is fighting, fidgeting, and gasping for air, do you need a prophet to tell you you're on course? That's what is happening today. 7 months, Atiku has not moved an inch. They said Jackson 5, they say all kinds of things. He stayed resolute.
Daniel Boala, lawyer and spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you. Isn't it good to see you again? Thank you so much.
And thank your studio. You gave me enough time today.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. But that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow again at 7 p.m. I'm sure Akim Aloe. God bless Nigeria.